Well, how do, y'all? So, last week we had a little trouble with our well. We thought we had it fixed, but if this truck is coming in, well, you can figure out pretty quick here that that trouble didn't stop. This mess right here and that right there, well, it gave up the ghost. So, this is what our well house looks like now. A lot cleaner, a whole lot better layout, and we have water.
I forgot to put this crossbar in, like this one. Should have been another one right here for these drawers, but I forgot to do it. So now I've notched these verticals and we're going to glue it in, and it's pretty tight, but anyway, we'll see how this goes. Okay, that's as good as I can do. Anyway, not a perfect fit. Could have been a little bit better, but it's a little bit of putty and some paint. We'll be all right. Anyway, so we got this drawer set up. It's a little bit tight at the very last bit, but that's supposed to be the soft close thing. It doesn't do it by itself. You got to give it a little But anyway, now we will cut some strips that go in here to push the slides out to this height here. And then we'll get 2 more drawers built, and then it's a whole bunch of doors. That'll go a lot faster. But this floor is really slick when it comes to the tripod, so if I don't get a lot of footage, it's because the tripod just whoop, and the camera is a little expensive, so.
So I'm creating basically a spacer to make the roller slides stick out to the same width as the facing. I could notch the facing out, but then the drawer faces would have to cover that up, and sometimes it gets pretty close. So this does make the drawer itself a little bit narrower, but they're still 22 inches wide, so I think we've got enough room for it. Now that the slides are in, I've got my measurement for the width of the drawer. So these are the lengths and the widths for each of those 2 drawers.
Now I need to go run this through the router. I ran all of these boards, I just ran through the table saw to get a cut on that side and that side, but it left a little crest in the middle. So we're gonna go run it through the router table and clean that off flat.
What are you making?
I made this.
What were you calling that earlier?
A cube.
I thought you called it a grass castle
Grass castle.
instead of a sand castle. Are you sitting in the bucket?
Yes.
You are a unique individual, you are.
I don't have any shoes on because.
All right, and no shoes. You're not a farm kid, are you? Maybe.
I just got it all this grass.
All right, so that little groove right there, that's what we're getting. It had just a little in the middle, but now it doesn't. You can barely hear it, but it is doing something. and make this where you can see what I'm doing. But basically, we're just filling these channels with glue. And then sticking the old plywood in there. 1/4-inch AC plywood. Stay. Come on. Alright, I glued it a little heavy right there, so we're going to kind of drag it down the plywood a little bit. I got some of it wiped out of there anyway. Okay. I don't know if this is translating very well on the camera, but okay. Shush. Okay. I'm just flashing out the corner. And this one's flash out here. I'll get this weed. So we're using it. Okay, well, there it is. You can always wipe off the excess glue, but it's pretty hard to get more to go down in them grooves. So I give it a little extra, and that's okay. Now this side I can't get to because of the wall, so we're just going to screw it in, and then we'll make this side match it. Alright, now I can't get to the back one, but I can do the middle one. Okay. So when you pop these things out, the first time it goes back in, they go kind of rough right here. But then the next time in, they're fine. Alright, looks good to me. So now we'll pop them back out again, so I can get to that last screw. Can't see with my fingers in the way. Alright, so that amount of space, it'll still get covered, like, so this face plate will be all the way and this face plate will be all the way. So when you open up the door handle or hole or whatever, it's going to be all the way up. So you can put, so we can put deeper stuff in there. like pots and pans or whatever kind of thing. And then if I have enough of the 1x6s left over on this bottom one, I'll pocket drill it. So essentially it'll be like this, but I'm gonna cut it off right there. That way you don't see that on the inside, so it'll be about that height. Give us a little bit of clearance. And then this one will be really deep so you can pile it up with food storage stuff. Tupperware, if you will. Okay, I apologize. I did it again. I started working and I forgot to record. Anyway, we got a couple pocket holes in there and another one on that end so that this one's double high. And then I offset my seams so that it kind of creates a little bit more strength. But this one goes all the way up against the edge. I need to drill another pocket hole right here and then over here so that when the face goes on it, I can screw, into the face, and then that'll continue this up. So yes, there will be a little bit of a step right there. I just thought it'd be kind of silly to have the double redundant, sort of kind of like whatever. But anyway, we'll get this thing installed, and then I think we're done with the drawer. Oh no, we're gonna do kind of a fancy thing down here. So when this door opens, there'll be a little grab a hold of it kind of thing, and it'll come out right there, and that'll be a spice rack. So that way, when you're standing right here doing the stovey thing, you've got this drawer that you can pull out, and there's all your utensils. Or you open this door up and then pull out, and there's going to be all your little spices and such. So kind of a custom detail, but anyway, what a mess we got going on. What a mess, what a mess. All right, so I think I've explained this before, but these little feet right here just go up against the edge, and that's what sets your depth on the inside here. You have to kind of set it up for what you're doing. So we're all set up for 3/4 inch. And then this stop is set for 3/4 inch. And then you can and then there is your little pocket hole. And then the fancy screws, they go all the way in. And there's a real long screw bit or drill bit, whatever you want to call it. That way you can come in at that harsh angle and you're not going to be rubbing the chuck on it. We'll get those just barely started in case I put all this stuff away and didn't do it yet. Get this side put on. Sorry, you can't see this side, it's a secret. Have it just barely poking out. You can see right there. Well, I don't know if you can see it or not, but it looks like it's kind of starting to come through. So from there all the way in the rest of the way at that angle. Whoop. Anyway, that'll help hold the face on too, but we'll also drill holes through this where the handle is, which actually might be up there. But all right, on this drawer, I marked 3/4 inch in from the end and up from the edges or bottom edge, and we'll get our other slide put on there. But I can't do it while holding the camera, but when I put the camera down, you can't hardly see, but we're gonna give it a whirl. Of course, I forgot to get the slide out yet. Okay. I'm going to put it in the slot. You've got some options. When you're setting these up, there's a slot going this way, a slot going that way, and then just a round hole. So we're going to use the forward and back slot going up and down. We'll test fit it. If everything fits great, we'll pull it back out, and I'll use the round holes on all three. But first, we got to make sure it's going to fit good. Okay, I don't know if you saw that very well, but ooh. And it sits in just a little bit, so that way it'll bump up against instead of sitting out proud where it's sticking out. So yeah, there we go. All three of those drawers are set up, and then you can see there's just a little bit of a gap there, probably, I don't know, maybe an inch, but that way nothing can fall out into the back. Because if you're using like smaller containers, but you stack them up or something like that, but whatever. This one, it could pitch out over the top, but if it did, it would just fall into the bottom drawer. Anyway, we'll figure that all out later. All right, so I have cut 3 strips of plywood that we're gonna put on here, like cleats, one on each side, one across the back. But I gotta make sure I leave enough room in the front for a face that goes on this shelf. Hopefully all that made sense. Oh, where's my level? Level. Actually, it's not my level, it's my grandson's level. But he said it was okay, I promise. I have to nail these in at a pretty good angle so that they're not poking through the other side because they're 3/16 too long. But because it was at that angle, it moved. Okay, so I have a mark up front that we're starting off with, and then I'm using the level so that the shelf sits level. This probably won't fit. Of course it won't, because I just made it an inch narrower. We have a solution. Look at there, it's an inch narrower. Now this one I should be able to just line up on both of them, but I don't know where my studs are. Maybe, I think we'll actually nail this one to the bottom of this. Yeah, I think that's what we'll do. so like so. Like this plan. Here it is. Match bullets. Shelved it. All right, now it's down to just doing faces. Probably do the doors first because they take up the most plywood, and then we'll move up to the drawers, and then whatever's left over we will start doing cupboards. Yeehaw. Okay, so we got this fancy little Craig jig that you just clamp it on. I mean, you got to do some measurements first, but anyway, this guy just quarter turn in there and it makes pencil shavings. And there's your hole that the hinges sit down into. So pretty handy. Okay. And then I'm gonna mark down 6 inches when I find the tape measure. Good grief. There it is. All right, 6 inches, so we have a little bit of uniformity. Go down just a little bit. Right here. We'll just stick this through there. It might be these hinges right out of the, yes, it's way down. So we know this one's gonna have to come in. Oop, that's the wrong way. We'll back that one all the way off. Better. Now we're looking better. And we're still not quite there. so door's got to come off. All right, we'll take off like 1/8 of an inch. That'll be fun. That looks like it waggled at the end. More sanding. Our handy dandy spacer.
Half-inch plywood works well for that space.
Yeah. I mean, if it was a different thickness of plywood, we would just have a different offset. All right, well, there it is with everything mostly adjusted. That 2x4 is really kind of making it hard to see, but anyway, we ran out of hinges for this door, and then the drawer I want to match to the door, so we're holding off on that, but we can move forward with the old countertop. We're going to go get the sink, and we'll cut a hole out over here, and then the stovetop, we'll cut a hole out right there. All right, well, there is the holes that we're about to cut. I have to admit, I'm a little nervous. Well, that's it for this one. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in about a week. God bless.